What is going on, peacemakers, and welcome back to another video. So today's video, I've got a more of a message-based lyrics for you guys. So this is a song, of course, by Demon Hunter. That's how we roll around here. No surprise there, right? So anyways, this song is called Ribcage. And in the midst of this song, there's this specific lyric that I really feel like we all just kind of need to hear. I feel like it just kind of sets a very good narrative. And I want to get this out of the way and say it so that way we can just analyze it, dumb it down, and just go from there and let this set the tone for the message, right? So before you fall into this again, building a life out of all that you hate, we see through the front you try to create. The world you hope for was only a fake, and just like the maggots that made you this way, I know. So let's like I said, let's analyze that. Not like kind of like what we do with the power of music, but this is like a demo. So before you fall into this again, basically that's saying that we've been here before, right? It's saying I like to think of it as it's us talking to ourselves, or it's like looking in a mirror and we're like, before you fall into this again, it's kind of like man, it's like just that little powwow session you have with yourself. You're just, we've been here before. What are we trying to do, right? Of course, you could perceive this in multiple different ways. Somebody telling you this, or you telling this to somebody else. Hey, look, you're falling into this, the same bad pattern again, right? So anyways, before you fall into this again, so it's like, remember this before we go down this path. Building a life out of all that you hate. So I'm going to ask this question, and I want you guys to go ahead and interact with me here. Pause the video after I ask it and ask yourself this question. What does building a life out of all that you hate mean to you? So to me, building a life out of all that you hate is kind of like our bad habits that we kind of just let happen, right? And a lot of reasons why we keep those bad habits is because sometimes they give us that chemical feel good feeling, right? Sometimes, whether it's dopamine, serotonin, regardless, there's a chemical stimuli that reacts in our body that kind of just gives us that feel good feeling whenever we do something that may just be, more than often not, it's usually a bad habit, right? Like just being lazy, that gives a lot of good serotonin feel, or a lot of good just dopamine feeling. Eating a bag of chips, just being lazy and just not being so productive. Sometimes productive does give us that feel good feeling. It feels like you're conquering the world. It feels like you're being responsible. You're taking on, the responsibilities, and sometimes it does give us that feel good attitude, but sometimes it can just leave us more exhausted than anything else. But some of the more lazier characteristics, some of the a little bit unhealthier, I would say, characteristics give us this same feel good. Or else, why else would we keep these bad attitudes or these bad characteristics around if they didn't really do anything for us, right? So I feel bad habits kind of contribute to this, building a life out of all that you hate, or else why would you do it? Also, similar way in relationships. Have you ever been in a relationship that you knew this person wasn't good for you? They were mentally or physically abusive, but you still wanted and craved their attention, or still wanted them to be around, and you don't know why. It just felt right, or whatever. Sometimes it can get the best of us. We can start building a life out of all that we hate. And it just, as unfortunate as, it sounds, we have nobody to blame but ourselves for allowing it to continue on, and not putting a stop to the pattern, not recognizing, not analyzing, look, hey, we've actually been here multiple times before. Why do we keep doing this? Why does it keep, why do things keep screwing up in a negative way? Why does it keep seem like this happens again and again? Instead of catching that, we just allow it, saying, well, it's not my fault, it's everybody else around me. I just, there's just no good people in the world. There's no good guys in this world anymore. There's no good women in this world anymore. They're all just the same, and they're all just looking for the same thing. And that's absolutely false. That's absolutely false. There are a lot of good people out there. You just got to, one, not attract the bad, and two, not be attracted by the bad. So those are two positive characteristics that will help you easily battle against this pattern you find yourself in. But let's keep going with what we're doing here. So we see through the front, you try to create. So basically saying, so it's basically saying we see through this mask that you put on. We see through the lies, and maybe lie is too strong of a word. Perhaps excuses is a better word for it. We see through the excuses. We make a lot of excuses, regardless. For instance, going back to relationships, and this doesn't have to be a relationship between just a romantic relationship. This can also be friendships. A lot of times you can create a terrible pattern of being friends with people who aren't really that good for you. People who aren't that positive, encouraging, influential friends. We've all had them at some point in our lives, regardless if it was elementary, middle school, high school, or whenever. We've all had that. At least one friend who was not the most, influential or positive, just the best kind of person, you could have in your life. So we see through that excuses that you tried to create for this person, that we see through, oh, they're just lashing out because, I did something, and sometimes we try to blame it, we try to blame it on ourselves, right? Sometimes we're like, well, this person's perfect. I just didn't do this right, or I didn't do that right. And we start making excuses for them instead of making excuses for ourselves. And reality just starts to slip at some point, and that's not fair. We're talking about, really, when you're talking about life, you want a balance of what's fair, and you want a balance of right and wrong in relationships. That's the ultimate goal, is to keep that on the straight and narrow. So anyways, we see through the front, you try to create. So we've kind of talked a little bit about that. The world you hoped for was only a fake. Guys, I hate to say it because I don't like this song, and the song was really trendy there for a while, but it really did kind of give a great example as to what society and just the mass kind of agreed. Well, okay, so let me just say this before I start, explaining it or whatever. So there was this song. I don't remember the lyrics. I don't know anything about the song. But the song's I'm sorry. I don't know the title of the song or the artist of the song. I just know the lyrics. The song was "I'm mad at Disney. They tricked me. They had me wishing upon a star." And it was basically, the premise of the song was talking about how Disney lied to me because they had me believing when I was a little kid that all you had to do to be successful in life, or to get the princess, or to get the Prince Charming, to get your significant other, all you have to do is wish upon a star, and then all of a sudden you find true love's kiss, and then you find the your significant other, and then you live happy ever after. And that's not reality. And I feel like at some point in our lives, we do have this wake up moment. We have this epiphany where it's like, man, life is not what I perceived it growing up. And I feel like that is kind of, what this is kind of talking about. The world you hope for was only a fake. And the worst part of it was the people that played into that, right? The worst part of it was Disney, who made it seem like this was reality. I'm not, guys, I'm not trying to blame Disney, okay? I'm not saying that Disney's at fault here and we should, raise your torches and pick fortress or anything like that. I'm simply just saying that using that as a formality, that would be a great example, of the society that kind of, was not necessarily, I don't want to use the word brainwash, but that the society had perceived reality in this direction only to find out that it was a fake, only to find out that this wasn't reality at all, and that reality in itself had nothing to do with what, Disney, with what society. Honestly, we could blame society. Social media is a huge one to blame. And society, social media is so, it's crazy how it is just the fake that is so normalized and desensitized. It's just, and I digress. I could get on a soap opera box, but I digress. So the world you hope for was only a fake, and just like the maggots that made you this way. I know. Guys, the maggots it's referring to is also the people that contributed to these bad habits, that also contributed to keeping you in that fake world, or believing you in that fake society, or believing in that fake mentality, that just that fake that kept us shackled, believing in something that wasn't exactly true. Now, of course, with every good lie, there is a tad bit of truth in it, or else it wouldn't be so convincing, right? And there's so many times that society, or these people that we surround ourselves with, aren't exactly good for us. And we start to build a life out of all that we hate, based on things that we attract to, right? And then the world is so good at picking things that people are attracted to. People are really, go crazy over this stuff, and then capitalizing on it. The world that we live in is so good at doing that. And honestly, we've done a really good job at distracting ourselves from reality, and distracting ourselves from the truth. And that's what we really have to take a look at here. And we really have to just kind of wake up. We have to kind of just wake up and realize that there is a reality to this world that isn't perceived by story tales, fairy tales, that, is all about finding true love, happy ever after bullcrap. Sometimes it's made to suffer. Sometimes in that suffering, however, just like plants, think about plants, how how the sunlight and photosynthesis makes it grow and whatnot, and it's all about blossoming and stuff like that. But what's the true growth there, right? How do plants truly grow? In order to truly grow, a plant needs water. And those rainy days, those days that nobody wants to go through, those days that everything's gloomy, everything's cloudy, everything's raining, and everything's wet, and it's just not a good time. Nobody wants to be out in the rain. Me personally, I love the rain. I love the that atmosphere. That is my total favorite weather type. But to most people, that's not. Most people, it's the nice, sunny, perfect summer days and whatnot. It's not. It's the 60-degree weather out there with clear skies, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful day. Sometimes fall can be really just that perfect weather type. But those rainy days is what helps grow. And in order, I mean, you could take that two different ways. In order for us to grow, we need those bad days so that it builds character and it builds calluses so that when the next bad day comes, we're not so easily taken by this, unfortunate event, right? And also, you could take it in another direction. And the other way is we need those good days to show us what we need those bad days to show us what good days is, and we need those good days to show us what we can achieve if we put our mind to it. If we try to be productive and we try to be the best us that we can be, right? This whole trying to be better than somebody else, that's absolute garbage. One thing that my youth pastor, my uncle, taught me was that when you compare and you compete, you will live in defeat. And that's so true, because the only you absolutely could compete with is you who you were yesterday. That's the only type of person we ever should compete against, is us yesterday, is be a better you today than the person you were yesterday. That's the only type of competing against somebody else we should ever find ourselves going after. We should be a better us than we were yesterday, than we were last year, than we were the year before that, than we were in middle school. We should always be excelling than we were a few years ago, a few months ago, a few days ago, a few minutes ago. We should always make better decisions. And we need those gloomy days. We need those bad days to kind of give us a sense of struggle. Therefore, with that struggle, we could achieve embracing the suck, endurance. And those are so key elements to the world that we find ourselves in today. Those are key elements in fighting that urge, or just that urge to be lazy or to do something that maybe we know we shouldn't do it, but going against what our urges are. That's such a key aspect. Self-control is what I'm essentially talking about here. Self-control is such a key aspect to a better character building, and it's going to put you on a better path to success. So anyways, guys, I feel like I've gone on long enough about it. I really hope you guys like the message. I really hope this really made some sense to you. I love the song Demon Hunters, but if you guys, or the song Ribcage by Demon Hunters, but if you guys didn't look at the lyrics, and if you guys never slowed it down or took the time to realize that this had an amazing message to it, you never would have thought about this. You never would have saw this stuff. It's crazy how, if you just take a moment to slow down and analyze how impactful just a little lyric such as this one just slips in there. And that's what I love doing. I love taking these awesome messages, and I love analyzing them, and I love expanding upon them and talking to you guys about this stuff, because that's the goal, right? The goal isn't necessarily how much money we can get, or at least it shouldn't be, because you can't take it with you, right? So what's the point in having it at all in some points, in some degree? But guys, I hope this message really spoke to you. I hope you guys liked it. And one thing I want to say just before I leave here, you are not what others say you are. Who you are is not dictated by what others say you are. I want to make that clear. I want to make that obvious. You are not defined by what others say you are. You are defined by what you believe in and who you are as your character. There was this old TV show I loved watching, and one of the things that this person said will never leave my mind. They said, "A man is only as good as his word." And man, that really spoke to me. Because that honesty, that genuine, defines who you are as a person. As genuine as a person as you are to you, as close as you to you as you can get. That's all that matters. And it matters a heck of a lot more than what you see on TV. It matters a heck of a lot more than what this fake reality people try to reject reality and substitute it with this. It's just, guys, I want you guys to be happy and don't get caught up in the media. Don't get caught up in the social media, and don't get caught up on the things that don't truly matter. Life, guys, is like a trail in the woods. There's a lot of rabbit trails, right? There's a lot of deer trails, a lot of little side trails that you could go off to. And sometimes when we're in this walk in life, we get distracted. Sometimes we take a little stroll off the beaten path. Sometimes we stop and admire the creeks. Sometimes we stop and admire the waterfalls. Sometimes we stop and admire these little things that we see out in nature itself. And that's exactly how distractions work, is they show you something that is really cool, but not helpful to the task at hand, not helpful at going through what you are going through. It's not going to help you. It's just a nice little distraction. And don't get me wrong, sometimes we need those distractions in our life. Sometimes we need to just back up, take a breather, and go for a walk. Just we need to, we don't need to be so focused on work. We don't need to be so focused on family. We don't always need to be so obsessed. No amount of obsession, even if it's a good obsession or a bad obsession, no obsession is a good obsession. Obsession is something that just, it overtakes, and there's no rhyme or reason. There's just no obsession that will help benefit you in the long run. So anyways, guys, I'm gonna leave you with this. Try not to get distracted by the distractions in life. Just think back to that wooded trail, right? Stay on the beaten path. Now, it's okay every now and then to take a vacation. It's okay every now and then to go off on a on a rabbit trail or a deer trail and get distracted by something. It's okay to take a vacation. It's okay to have some time to yourself. But always remember to go back to that path. Always remember to go back to that beaten path, and remember to stay true to you. And don't ever put stock or faith into what others say you are. Don't ever listen to what other people define you. People will try to measure you. People will try to weigh you. People will try to put you in a box. But that's not who you are. You don't belong in a box. You don't belong on a leash defined by what others say you are. You do you. And eventually, you'll find yourself on the same path with another person. And you both will be traveling on that same path together. And you both will figure out, one, what you're really after, and two, what your meaning is, if you haven't found it already. So anyways, guys, that's pretty much it. It's a lot out of just one quote, right? But that is reality in itself. So, guys, have fun. Do what you love to do. And don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. Take care. I hope you guys have an amazing day. I'll see you in the next one.